Coming live from Mikasa, we have a special appearance from RBK, the man
Special
himself.
appearance. I'm not in Texas anymore, guys.
He's in Richmond today.
I'm in Richmond today. Try to get some episodes out for you guys while I'm here together in person.
This episode is brought to you by the brewery Black Tuesday, Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels. It's really not, but it's really good beer. If you want
No
to
free
try it.
advertising, so if you guys happen to watch this,
What if they sue us because we put them on?
now
the
they should
show?
send them some cases.
That's what
The
they should.
12 days of Christmas, send it over. But we are here to talk about basically Nations Cup,
Nations League. not
Nations League, Mexico
Nations
versus
League.
USA, semifinal, final,
USA versus Canada,
USA versus Canada.
which was the final, not for USA versus Mexico.
Yeah.
For the people who watched.
I don't know. It seemed like that stadium was pretty empty. So.
It seemed like it was like a friendly match in Vegas, and nobody wanted to watch it.
I liked it. I don't want to skip
Yeah,
there and here, but
what's at the top of your list? Let's
what
see that.
what did you think about USA in general? Because we can go back and forth, and we're gonna end up at USA being the more dominant team, not even on paper, on the field,
Just on the field. Yeah.
and you look at stats. Mexico had more possession.
And Canada had more possession in their game too,
Yeah.
which is something interesting. But I mean, possession doesn't mean you win the game, right? Like,
Yeah.
and for the longest, like back in the day, Barcelona had that whole tiki taka where they would just touch the ball till they bored you to death.
Yeah.
Um,
But before I feel like they played a lot like Barcelona before Pep Guardiola, because if you remember when they have Frank Rijkaard, Ronaldinho, Deco, Eto'o, Messi breaks on the scene, they're not playing so tiki-taka, but they were like, we got to get the ball back, and when we do, we attack.
yeah,
They didn't care to go back.
too much, too often.
Too often, because at that point, I don't know if you remember, but Puyol was like running up and down them flanks.
Yeah, and he was a center back.
And he was a center back.
Which is weird. Yeah.
They basically had Rafa Marquez back there pinging the ball too.
Yeah.
And it always seemed like they had 5 midfielders.
Yeah.
And they were just there. But
we're all over the place.
We're all over the place now.
But
you were supporting USA.
Yeah, I was.
You support USA.
America.
And
America.
I lost a bet. So from here till 2026, I'm going to support USA. I will not talk smack unless Ferreira gets called up. Not after this Gold Cup, because he had BJ had his Gold Cup roster. Ferreira's on it.
And they have a different roster from the Nations League than the CONCACAF Gold Cup, right?
Yeah.
Like I think they're letting like some players go back to their
They're all
respective.
going.
Oh, all of them?
Yeah, if you look at the roster right now, it's like
so
MLS.
Okay.
MLS.
Which makes sense because I heard some players are like fighting for their spots back at their club teams, and so they're allowing them to go back to like fight for their spots, which makes sense. I think next year in the Copa America is where you'll see like Christian Pulisic and all these big names.
That's where you kind of see where Berhalter is going to be
on, and if he my god.
But we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
What do you think about USA? USA versus Mexico semifinal.
I thought that, well, first of all, I think the first 10, 15 minutes were a little shaky from both sides. Like, there were just, like, a lot of nerves, which makes sense, though, because it's, like, such a high rivalry, right? But once they got that opening goal, I feel like it just, like, fell apart for Mexico. And you know what's crazy is I feel like the Mexican players gave up super fast. And I feel like, I get it, you probably weren't going to get back in the game, but it wasn't to the point where you needed to kind of panic. I think, and that's what they did. Like, like the stupid foul that he gets a red card for just kicking him. Like, you don't need to do that, right? Like, I think at that point they were still down 1-0, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it was 2-0.
Oh, it was already 2-0? Okay, but you're down 2-0. It's not like, it's nothing crazy to come back from 2-0, right? But as soon as you lose a player, then it almost makes it impossible at that point. But I definitely think that after the first goal, USA was, like, very dominant. It just seemed like they were just like quicker than them. They were giving better passes than them. They were quicker to close down the field. They just looked like the more dangerous team. And it just didn't even seem like Mexico was like remotely interested in getting back into the game at that point.
I'll agree with you. On my notes here, USA played a high line, high pressure, and direct on the offense.
Yeah.
Meaning Musa, McKennie, Gio, Tim Weah, Pulisic, and Florain,
Yeah.
which are your attacking
Yep.
midfielders and forwards. They seemed like they were playing for the same club team and then brought it onto the national
Yeah,
team.
just like in sync.
And
Huh? What's kind of crazy for Floran? Like it's his
Yeah.
first game, and he looked like he was like, all right, like I've been here for a while.
Yeah. And same thing with Des because he was playing on Tim Weah's side.
Yeah.
He was overlapping,
He
Weah-
was giving him balls.
giving
yeah,
the balls.
yeah, it
Tim
just
was
like,
holding the ball, and
yeah.
like, Des has been on the bench for the last 6 months.
I know, which is crazy, and for him to come out and give you that performance
Yeah.
was like,
And Tim Weah has been playing left and right back.
yes,
France.
he has, right? He hasn't been. So he played as a winger in this game.
He played his natural position,
his winger, but
Yeah.
he's been playing as a wing back,
wing back.
which is like it's almost similar, but it's a lot more defensive, I would say.
Yeah.
So for him to just like flourish, and I think he was the one who for me, he stood out the most in this game.
What also stood out for me that you and I are going to agree on is a back four. If you notice, every single player on that back line has European experience except Robinson from Atlanta United, who might be going to Europe in this next transfer window.
Okay.
But you got Dest, who has plenty of experience.
Yeah, he's all
Richards at Crystal Palace.
Yeah, although he's been injured too, and he came in.
Yeah, but you're learning.
No. What I'm saying was like that's like another interesting. Like he's been injured for so long, and it just looked like he didn't miss a beat, bro.
Yeah.
He didn't miss a beat against Mexico. He looked like, and forgive me to say this, but like most big American players that play on the national team, they're like big and slow and dumb. I would like to say, and he just looked like he was big and smart, bro.
Yeah.
Like just like he knew exactly what he needed to do, and it seemed like
He looked like
Henry Martin didn't know what to do up there.
Oh, he was totally lost.
Yeah, lost.
I mean, if we go to Mexico for a little bit, their lineup was technically a 3-5-2, which to me looked like a 5-3-2, with Orbelín Pineda not dropping back because you're essentially partnered up with two forwards, right?
Yeah.
And then on the lineup itself, you had Sanchez on the inside.
Yeah, he was. You know what he reminded me of? Kind of. He kind of reminded me. He was playing like John Stones at Man City, who's a natural defender.
Yeah.
But he moved him into the like defensive middle. But for Mexico, it just wasn't working for him. Like he just looked like.
Oh, I think it's a lot easier to buy into Pep Guardiola.
Oh yeah,
than
well
it is
that's
into Coca.
Yeah, that's very true
Yeah.
too, right? Like the whole idea that. So do you think? Let me ask you this then. Do you think the players threw the game because they didn't like Coca's
No.
ideas?
Player wise on Mexico, I just don't think they have what old school Mexico players had. Like
Which is that
the
grit,
grit,
yep.
aggressiveness, passion.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose. I mean, if we're being honest, the last 5 games have been on the U.S. favor with 3 wins and a tie and 2 ties.
Yeah.
Right?
But I will say though, this is the first convincing win that I've seen.
It is. Because the last games were like 2-1, 1-0.
Yeah, like very, very
Yeah.
small marginal.
Small
game.
marginal.
Yeah.
I think their best win against Mexico in recent years was at Azteca when Bradley scored from like half field. He basically chipped Ochoa.
Okay. Well,
in qualifiers.
I can't remember that. But.
That was one of the best games. And at that point, I wouldn't say the U.S. had a lot of MLS players because at that point they did have Bradley in Italy.
Yeah.
I believe Josie Altidore was still in England.
Yeah, they had a decent squad.
Yeah, they had a decent squad. But at that point, Mexico was like, Tecatito was on the loose. He had barely gone to Europe. Lozano. But anyways, the players now don't have that. They're just gonna go play because like, oh, Mexico's calling me, right? And we've been talking about this forever. Like, when are you gonna stop calling the same players that don't give you anything?
Let me ask you this, and this is another interesting question. Do you think that these players don't have that grit because they play in Mexico? Like, for instance, like the majority of the USA team is playing in Europe, right? And I think this is my idea, right? Is that when you play in Europe, you're not playing like, yes, you're making good money, right? But you're probably not making what a Mexican soccer player makes in Mexico, right? Like you're not making that much money, right? which is a lot more because it's very lucrative to play in Mexico, right? But I think what you're playing for is you're playing for competition. Like, you want to be known as one of the elite players in Europe, right? Like, and to be one of the elite players in Europe, you have to have a certain mentality. You have to have a certain training methodology, right? Like, you're grinding it out. You have that grit that like most players in Mexico. I think if you stay in Mexico, you don't. You're like, life is good, bro. I'm
It's
good.
comfortable.
It's
I'm getting
comfortable.
paid.
I'm
I'm
getting
not gonna
paid.
relegate.
I, it's
If-
not. I'm not killing myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Especially for Mexicans because
You have everything you need.
that, and you don't have to worry about not being taken on by a team. There's examples in Giovanni Dos Santos, who doesn't have a team, hasn't had a team in 2 seasons, and it's not because teams don't want him. It's just they've lost trust in him, and his wage demands are
Enormous.
enormous.
Yeah.
So as a team, you work in finance.
Yeah.
You're not gonna take
Like the risk,
The risk.
and the money doesn't weigh out.
Yeah.
Basically.
So okay, I'm gonna pay you $6 million a season. Are you gonna give me 10 goals? Are you gonna give me 10 assists? Are you gonna give me 90 minutes?
Yeah.
Like that. That's what's going
or
on.
the consistency.
Or the
right?
consistency. And what I think is going on in the Mexican Federation, which we're gonna get to in a little bit, there's no relegation anymore.
Yeah. Which is
Which
a
we're-
very interesting thing, right?
And that topic comes a little bit later, but USA right now has the better quality mentally, physically, and tactically because most of these kids are being coached by great coaches. They're in Europe for a reason.
And I think that there's more demand from them in these European leagues, bro. Like,
Yeah.
for instance,
Well,
Musa.
Musa was fighting relegation.
Exactly, right? Like, all the players from
Yeah.
they're fighting relegation, right? So when you go to practice, bro, every day matters, bro.
Yeah.
Every day is like, do you want to stay and be on the top flight of the Premier League, or do you care to go down, right? Like,
Yeah.
And in the Mexican league, like, no offense, but it's just like, I could lose half the games this season and still make playoffs.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, it's a different level to this shit.
It's very comfortable, and I'll do a personal take on it. When we were in second division with Mambas, we're talking about Sunday League soccer here. We won it. Remember, we won it.
Yep.
And then the owner of the team sent a text message to all of us and said, "Do you guys want to stay or go up?"
And he was like, I prefer staying.
I prefer staying because you know you're going to win again. We ran through those teams.
Yeah, it was simple.
Right?
It was simple.
And
yeah.
People are scared to go up because what? You're going to lose all the games. You're not going to make playoffs, and then you're going to get relegated because there is a relegation.
Yes.
The last 2 teams go down, and the first 2 teams go up.
And it's more demanding, right?
Yeah.
Like, every game is not like, this is going to be a walk in the park
Yeah.
today, right? Like, this is an easy game today.
So we went up, and we didn't win that next year.
Mm-mm.
But we were still fighting to go back down, which we didn't. But he then sent a text message. Hey, do you guys want to just like go back down and try again? I was already leaving to Texas, so I didn't really care. But it's a mentality. Is where I'm going at. The mentality of like being comfortable in, hey, I'm okay just doing this.
Yes, and I think that's the problem with the Mexican players,
Yeah.
right? It's like the majority,
MLS players too.
MLS
players
and
too.
that's why I don't think they need to be anywhere near the international team, right? Because it's like, your mentality doesn't fit into this elite mentality that I need, right? And it's unfortunate, but that's the reality of things.
If Copa America was this summer,
Yes.
do we see this same roster that we
For the
saw for
USA?
the Nations League?
Yeah,
Because-
of course. Like,
because-
that's the only roster you can go with.
I know, but most of these players want to go win a spot. Bulligan,
Oh,
Frahin
Yes.
is on loan.
yeah, and
He
he wants to go back to Arsenal.
And who did they just sign?
They're trying to sign. Did they sign Kai
Yeah.
Havertz? It's done deal.
Done deal.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
Okay.
They really got Kai.
So they got Kai.
Oh, what?
So now these players have to go back, try to figure out where
And
they're going to play.
And so he has Gabriel Jesus, and he has Ketia in front of him, and now Kai Havertz.
Yeah.
It's very impossible to.
And he's already said, like,
I want to fight for my spot, basically. Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to go play. I'm not going to go on loan.
I'll tell you this though. I'll tell you this. And this is probably a shade at Gold Cup. Gold Cup and Copa America don't compare, bro. I will tell you this.
Of course not. Look,
But that's what I'm saying. So if it was Copa America, and I'm fighting for my spot at my club, I'm gonna go to Copa America, and I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna show you why I deserve to be at a top team, right? Because if I can do it against the best of South America, I deserve a spot.
So your point, which I'm going to agree with, hopefully you agree with what I'm going to say, but this would be a tournament where scouts and clubs have a magnifying glass.
Yes.
I'm looking at you at these U.S. players I can get for cheap who are good.
Yes.
I mean, who wouldn't want Adams on their team?
Or if Pulisic is up this year, right? If Chelsea,
he's out. He's out.
So who wouldn't want him, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe obviously, like
he can kill it. He can kill it.
Could.
Look what he just did.
I think in the right team and the right development, bro, he will kill it. Yeah.
On pace alone, he was whooping Edson Alvarez all game.
He was
on pace, and he has longer strides.
Did you see? And I saw in the. I hate to bring up other players in the next game too, but in the USA versus Canada game, I thought Giovanni Reina just like put on a master class, bro.
You know, a thing I heard during this week is Giovanni Reina is what no U.S. player currently has offensively, which is vision and great footwork.
Yes, bro.
His passing is great. His vision is great. I don't know if you remember the play where
he
had nothing,
turns him around,
backtracks, but he knows, and then he gives a good pass.
And the goal that he gave to the assist that he gave, I was watching the game with my dad, and I was like, he's such an amazing player.
Oh, to Florian?
Yeah, I was because he drops the ball, and I'm like, he drops it in the perfect spot where the defender has to decide, like, do I go for the ball or do I not go for the ball?
Kind of like Ake and Messi in the World Cup.
Yes, and he's like, and because the defender doesn't know what to do, it just throws opens him up to do whatever he wants, and I'm like, that's the type of player that changes the game. He just has so much quality that you don't know what to do, right? You don't know how to defend him, kind of, which is what Messi and Mbappe and Ronaldo and all these great players do. But going back to USA and Mexico, I definitely think that until Mexico has players that are like really competing in Europe, it's their future's not looking that great, bro.
No,
it's hard to get excited for the next World Cup for them.
I was thinking about this today. We got a freebie as Mexico.
What do you mean a freebie? Oh,
you guys didn't make the World Cup. Oh, sorry, us. We now. We're a team now. USA didn't make the World Cup, right?
The previous one.
So they were forced to change.
Oh, kind of like.
So they missed out on the World Cup and changed.
Yeah.
Mexico can take these 4 years coming up, or 3.5,
because they're already in the World Cup.
They're already in the World Cup.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Which it doesn't help them.
If they figure it out,
good for them.
Before Copa America next year.
Which is hard.
It's not hard because you get players back. Like Gatito's coming back from injury, trying to get a position at Sevilla. Chucky Lozano might be leaving Napoli to a bigger team. Could be Chelsea. If he kills it at Chelsea, that's just going to translate. Now what happens with Mexico? You have 2 wingers that are not Antuna.
Yes.
And anybody better than Antuna, I'd put you better than Antuna.
And you know what's crazy about Antuna?
I hate his grin.
I liked him, but this is before you say it, this is the comfort thing about Antuna. He was at Chivas, right?
You know who his contract's with, right? You know who has his contract?
No.
Man City.
Do they really?
Man City has his contract.
The Qatar group or Man City themselves?
Yeah.
How do they have it?
Somehow Antuna got that contact or whatever, and they signed him.
And they just sold him.
And then they loaned him to Galaxy.
Wait, he played at Galaxy?
Yeah. So I'll tell you what I feel about him in a little bit. But what do you feel about?
I told you, Antuna always reminded me of a young Vinny in the sense that he has pace, he has the idea of what to do.
Same qualities.
I wouldn't say like exactly same qualities, right?
Yeah.
But like he's like, I see the potential there. But it's just like his decision-making skills are what kills him, right? Like he has poor decision-making skills in the final third. Like when you need to be precise, right? Like do I center, do I shoot, what do I do in this situation, right?
And then when you center, shoot, or pass, it's horrible because you're second-guessing yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what kills you. But what I was going to say is that, so he was at Chivas before, right? Or what was
Chivas and then he went to Cruz Azul. Where he's at now.
Yeah, okay, so that's the problem with the Mexican league. In my opinion, it's like
I agree with you.
It's like, okay, if they don't want me here, I'll go play at another Mexican
That goes back
club.
to being comfortable.
And I'll go to another Mexican club.
Yeah.
And I'll go to another Mexican club. And it's like, that's not the mentality that you need to have if you want to be great and you want to do things. Like, the whole mentality should be, I'm here for right now, and my goal is to make it to Europe and play in the top team in Europe.
Yeah.
That is my goal, right?
Should be.
Unfortunately, though, I don't think that these players have that mentality. They don't want that.
And I don't know why these players don't take Giovanni Dos Santos as a perfect example of, if I don't start carrying my own weight, someone is not going to want to pay me that salary.
Yes.
And to be honest, Antuna is not Giovanni Dos Santos.
No, he's
Giovanni
not.
Dos Santos is elite.
Yeah. I want to say he was probably a lot more. I want to say he was a lot more tactically gifted, and just that goal he scored against Tim Howard in the goal.
He scored a similar goal against Brazil in a friendly too.
Yeah, he
has some bangers. He has bangers.
I think he was another one that, like, I think Giovanni Dos Santos' problem was, like, he was so good at a young age that it kind of like the Freddie Adu thing, right? Like, too much pressure, and then he just never lived up to the hype.
I don't think I could compare him to Freddie Adu.
No, yeah, because Freddie Adu was
at that point in MLS.
It was trash.
They could come on a Sunday and pick 5 different players from a whole game.
Yeah,
because they're gonna be like, "Wow, I've never seen this before." Like, I mean, if we're being honest, U.S. soccer
hasn't been good.
Hasn't been good, and
I've always said that. And
it's young.
It's still not good, bro. It's still not good.
So I'm gonna say, because we have a freebie, we're not gonna struggle, because we're not gonna miss a World Cup.
You're not, but the worst thing for Mexico would be to make it this next World Cup and be eliminated in the group stage, right?
But it depends though. It depends on what happened in 3.5 years.
Is this World Cup the new World Cup where there's more teams as well?
Yeah. So you can still make it in third place.
Make it, yes, exactly.
Right. So
you have, but it's not a good thing though, right? Like,
it's not a good thing if you're not fixing things during 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Like the speech, I don't know, you didn't see it for sure.
But I kind of saw it.
The guy who was talking,
the director,
right?
Yes.
Juan Carlos.
He was like, "This is the reason why we let go."
Bro, I've never seen nobody say that. It's always politically correct. It didn't work out. We're gonna go this direction. It didn't work out. We're gonna go this direction. Oh, it didn't work out. We're gonna have a team meeting between all the club presidents, and we're gonna figure it out. No, he was like, it didn't work out because the people that were here before decided to have a meeting with these coaches, presidents, directors, and look at where we're at now. Right now, we're gonna look internally. We're gonna hire Jimmy Lozano for the Gold Cup.
For
He's gonna take over.
Yeah.
And we'll see what we're gonna do. But we're not going. Which is our next topic. The firing of Coca is now gonna resemble the last 6 months for U.S. soccer,
where there's like the whole uncertainty.
Exactly. So now
I hope they learn from the U.S. where it's like, don't go back to the same thing.
If I was U.S. soccer, you know who I would have hired? If you're gonna
anybody but Greg.
Okay, but if you're gonna if Greg is like, so they went through a process where they hired.
This is what we want, and they were like, Greg is everything we want. Yes, I know that. Yeah.
So it's like if our wives said, "This is what I want.
This is my
husband,
and it's
and it's
me.
us. Who's gonna fit?
Me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what the U.S. did, right?
Yeah.
You know, if Greg Berhalter was the roof, you know who? And you're gonna agree with me, or you're gonna remember at least. Who's my first pick? If Greg Berhalter is your guy, who was my guy? That's better than Berhalter.
The coach for LAFC?
Nope.
Or Thierry Henry?
Nope.
Who are you talking about then?
Hugo.
Oh, Hugo Sanchez, yes, bro.
No, not Hugo Sanchez.
I mean, Hugo Perez. Hugo Perez, yes.
From El Salvador. And shout out. Yes. I know your sons are still here in the Bay Area, so if we can get, talking, come on to the podcast.
Talk to us, yeah. And, I was talking to my brother about this, and I was like, he is out. And Christian Pulisic came out and was like, I think he should be one of the front runners for the position, I think. And I was like...
He discovered him.
Exactly. And I was telling my brother, I was like, I feel like he discovered a lot of the players that supposedly are playing right now in Europe, right? Like he was
Pulisic, McKennie, Sendejas, all of them, because
Yes.
they're all U17s when he was coaching.
exactly. And I think I was telling him, I was like, look what he's done with the El Salvador team, right? Like he's done the best that he can with like this small pool of players.
I'm gonna explain it like this: if you and I went camping, and you had to start a fire, and I had to start a fire, and I started a fire because I had everything, and you started a fire
'Cause I
with
got a
woods
rock and
and
wood.
woods.
I'd be like, who's more impressive? Me, bro.
You.
Yeah, exactly. You got a lighter, I don't.
He's playing with players in the USL,
And he's competing.
and he's competing. There's defenders on his team, except Zabaleta. I don't like Zabaleta. He plays for Galaxy.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think he's all right.
He's
not the greatest.
He's not the greatest, but he does a lot, like you said, with nothing.
With nothing, yes.
So
Bro.
if you're gonna move on, he knows what he's doing tactically. He knows what he's doing technically.
And I think
And he's a Hall of Fame U.S. national ex-player.
and his resume, I think, just speaks
Yeah.
volume, right? Like
Verhalter has nothing on his resume.
yeah, except
Except
fucking
playing-
scandals, bro.
except-
Scandals.
Not, I wouldn't say scandals because the Rainers brought that up.
Okay, even then, I go back to Tillman. Tillman.
He'd be grilling everybody.
He be grilling him though, and I'm like, it's very true, bro. Like,
Tillman's the one who was firing on him when they didn't make the World Cup.
was he really?
Yeah.
But he has a point. He's like,
He does.
He's like, all right, you got all these wins
Mhm.
against CONCACAF teams. Who gives a fuck about the CONCACAF teams? You're playing Guadalupe, Martinique, or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're teams
Which
that
you still lose to.
sometimes, right? But like,
Yeah.
but the whole point is like, I don't care about that. Like, show me what you do against a Netherlands team, against a Wales team, right? Like against England. Like, these are the results I care about. I don't care.
I'll tell you this, in the World Cup,
He blew it because he didn't even put Giovanni Reina in.
Yeah. with the whole, okay, we're going to add a little bit more subcats in here. Gio Reyna, he's a great player. We know he's a great player.
He showed it in the last two
And he
games.
showed it in the last 2 games. But you're going to have to agree with me on this. Leading up to the World Cup with Dortmund, he was injured. So you didn't know what you were going to get out of it. On the contrary, I'd rather have him for 60 minutes than being on the bench.
I'd rather have
Give
him
me 60 minutes.
I'd rather have him for 45 minutes than Jesus Ferreira. I'll tell you that.
Oh, no, yeah, for sure,
easily,
for sure.
Easily, bro.
Yeah, that's why you can make the argument, because there was a lot of players on that team that went to just say they went to the World Cup.
Yeah.
So, like, if I ever ran into some of these players like Ferreira when we're 50 years old, and he's like, I went to the World Cup in Qatar. I'm like, did you? Because I didn't see you do nothing.
I watched you play, bro. You was non-existent for
I saw
like
you-
76 minutes.
I saw you on the starting lineup.
but I didn't
But
see you
then
on the field.
I didn't see you on the field.
And no offense to Jesus Ferreira. I don't know you,
No,
bro. And
all offense. As a player.
as a player,
as a
but
player.
as outside of that, like, I don't know you as a
I'll
person,
drink. I'll
bro.
drink a beer with you.
I would, bro. But
Unless you record me and then shout out Becky G.
But you know what I mean? Like, I don't hate him as a person or anything. Like, I just don't think that you fit. You need to work on a bunch of things that you
Yeah.
need to improve on, bro.
So coming back a little bit from the hiring and the firing of Mexico and USA,
Uh-huh.
what do you think is the conversation between Reina, who else? Pepe, which I don't think he's second best to
Zach Steffen, bro.
Zach Steffen, the
Which is
keeper.
like, I'm not gonna bring him because I don't want competition. What kind of dumb shit is that, bro? That's the dumbest argument I've
Yeah.
ever heard.
And now there's a bunch of keepers that are in Europe that are young,
Okay.
right? So you have Chelsea has a third keeper who's American.
Okay.
So now what do you do in this next cycle? You don't bring him in because he's a veteran? I mean, Matt Turner's a veteran, but he's not having the greatest of seasons at Arsenal. He's not even a starter.
And
then he's bad with his feet.
Shaky.
He's bad with his feet.
Yeah, exactly. I think
Mexico's only best chance was because he gave the ball to who was it? I think he gave the ball to Santi Jimenez, who then passed it to Antuna, and Antuna missed, which would have been 2-1.
Yeah, I think I'm
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
But that the whole point of like, I'm not gonna bring a player on because I don't want to start competition. That has to be the dumbest.
No, yeah, it's the dumbest. It's the dumbest.
I need the
Both-
competition.
for both-
I need the starter to be on his toes, bro.
For both Mexico and US, the dumbest thing you can do is say that these are my favorite 23 players as a coach. because it demoralizes players, right? If you want the competition, I will literally bring in a camp if clubs let me. If I was a coach, hey, I want your player to compete against these players. I would literally bring in 33 players.
And I'd be like,
11 versus 11, substitutions, play a certain system. Whoever fits it, fits it. Whoever doesn't, doesn't.
Yeah.
And then you always have those players in the back of your mind because you know they're there and you know that they compete at a high level, which what I think with Mexico right now is a problem. A lot of coaches have favorites. A lot of coaches have agents with the same players, with the same clubs. And it's like, I'm going to bring this. So Quiñones is now Mexican for Atlas.
Yeah.
Right?
And he's gonna come into the national team.
I don't know about now. Because Coca's not there no more.
I'll tell you this though, he's a lot better than Henry Martin.
No, I would bring him on. I don't have nothing against him being nationalized. I think if you're a nationalized player, you should be better than what we have.
Yes, and I think he is. He is better than a couple of the players on that would bring on.
Okay.
Hey, you know what's crazy? I just realized they didn't bring Funes Mori on.
Funes Mori was killing it at Monterrey, got naturalized, and then they didn't use him until Tata came. Yeah. Tata used him, but he was already gone.
Yeah, he was.
He's not the same Funes Mori.
Yeah,
he's not. So if Quiñones is now in his prime, use him.
And if not, it's too late.
Create the competition. If I'm Mexican, I'm like, oh, you think you're better than me?
I have to perform.
I'm about to
perform, and I think that's what drives the competition.
Exactly.
But if you're not going to allow that, if you're going to be
just dumb.
Then it's
just dumb.
You're wasting your time
at
that point.
And the U.S. has a lot of players right now that create competition.
Yeah.
Especially at the number 9, Pepe and Zorain.
They both want to win that position. And they're like,
They both got goals.
And they're like, I need to perform if I want to be out here, bro.
And I follow Pepe a lot because I like him. He's from El Paso. That's where I live now. Heard a lot of great things about him. So when he's getting interviewed and he's saying things like, my teammate scored, our team won. I love it. Because he's selfless.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, cool. You don't care about being
the number one
or the number 2.
But you want to be involved.
Yeah. At that point, you just know that the coach made a decision for the game and you want the team to win and you know you're going to get some playing time. Before that, you're getting left off rosters.
Quick. I just want to ask you something because now you're bringing up part of Pepe. All these interviews after they announced that Greg was coming back, and they're asking Pepe, and they're like, "What do you think about Greg coming back? What do you think? What do you think? Do you think?" They're like, so a lot of people say like, "Oh, look, he's talking good about the coach. That means that the players want the coach."
I think they knew.
No, but me personally, I'm like,
but he's already had an interview where he said, he called me, told me I wasn't on the roster for the World Cup. I hung up and haven't talked to him since.
And he still hasn't talked to him. But
we don't know that now.
Yeah, no. They asked Greg, and he was like, I haven't spoken to them.
But that was at the press conference when they announced
moving
him.
Forward. Moving forward, I don't know.
I think today he talked to him.
No. But my thing is like, you're asking a player what they think about the new coach. He's not gonna say, I fucking hate this coach. I hate him.
What would you think about Pepe if he did that? What would you think about Pepe if
I
he
would
said,
be like, wow, he crazy for saying that. He not gonna get called up, but at least he kept it real. That's all I can say because they're not. Greg would be like, I refuse to call him up. Like put his pride. He wouldn't put his pride aside.
But if Pepe does that, he puts pressure on the coach. I think because now as a coach, the media already knows that there's issues internally.
Yeah.
So now if a player says he wouldn't be my first choice, but hey, I'm just a player. I hope I get called up. Now he's putting the pressure back. The pressure's never on the player.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like
the pressure's always on Berhalter to be a little weenie.
But I think Greg is gonna come in. He's gonna choose the same players that went to the Nations League.
Yeah, Nations League.
So he's gonna choose them. He's gonna bring Pepe. He's gonna bring Reina. He's gonna play them.
I think we're done with the MLS players coming in.
Yeah, and you know what he's gonna do though. You know what he's gonna do. The moment they have a bad game, he's gonna be like, "This is why I don't play him," or he's gonna talk down on his players. I think that's what he'll do.
Or like if he brings the elite of the elite in, they have a bad game, or they're just being stubborn on how they want to play, not following directions,
Yeah, then
he'll call them out, and this is why they didn't do it.
Yes, that's what I think he'll do.
So then it's not a player problem.
It's a coach problem.
It's his problem.
That's
because he don't want to change.
Exactly.
So is this a good signing? Is it moving on?
No, this great coming back was never a good signing.
Was never good.
Never
Okay.
good, bro. And we discussed this. He doesn't come close to any of the players available, bro. Any of the coaches available. My bad. I'm sorry.
The reason why I like conversations like this is because we're not pundits on CBS, Fox, or anything, right?
Nobody paying me.
Right? And we're not ex-players on the national team where we have to like each other.
But it don't take rocket science to figure out that, like, he's not that great of a coach. And it was like, if you're going to fire him, what was the point of bringing him back?
We're just two dads talking nonsense. We watch the games. We watch his coaching. It does not take a rocket science
to know whether something works or doesn't work, right?
It doesn't. You know what I mean? It doesn't. And I don't think he makes it to the World Cup.
You don't.
I think he has. I think he has a bad Copa America.
No, Gold Cup. I think
he's not coaching Gold Cup.
Oh, you're right.
He's not coaching.
Yeah, and I think he has a terrible.
Which also, if you announce me as a coach, I'm telling the federation, I'm coaching this roster. Give me a roster I didn't even pick, and I'm gonna prove to you that I can do it.
Yeah.
But he's not a tactical sound coach, so he can't. And most of the players that he would have called up are on that roster.
Yeah. And so, that's very weird too, though. That
Just start it. But then again, why would you touch fire if you know you're gonna get burned?
Yeah, he's in his sense he's smart for that. Yeah.
He's smart, but it goes back again to my favorite word. He's a weenie.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really like him as a coach, to be honest.
Yeah, as a coach. I mean, everything is always as a coach and as a player.
Yeah.
We don't know these people.
Yeah.
We could probably have a beer with them.
Yeah,
and talk tactics.
Yeah, but I don't really agree with that hiring.
No, I don't agree with the hiring. Now the firing of Coca. How do you think Mexico Federation moves forward? Do you think they go for a big hire?
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you think they go for a Mexican or do you think they look outside?
I honestly hope that Jimmy Lozano does great in the Gold Cup with a roster that he didn't pick.
And he gets the best out of it.
Gets a first place. First, it's not hard. It's not hard.
It's not. But have you seen the team Jamaica's bringing?
Phenomenal. I've seen it. I was like, but they're not in our group.
But if you make it out the group, that's who you have to compete.
Okay, but make it out of the group in first place, and you don't see them until the final.
Yeah, very true.
Right.
Very true.
And then if you win the final to that great Jamaican team,
then you're golden.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I think Jimmy Lozano does a good job with them. He did great at the Tokyo Olympics, coming short against a great Brazil team. But he's a coach that has been asking questions to great coaches. He's been studying great coaches. He goes and takes his trips to England. He's talked to Pep. He's gone to Germany and talked to Klopp. He's done his research.
He's doing his homework. Basically.
He's doing his thing. He's going to be one of the greatest Mexican coaches if they give him the chance. And his chances now to prove that he can do it with the team he doesn't have. And all the federation has to do at this point is figure out what's going behind the curtain.
Yeah, like, do I stick with him?
I'm going to tell teams, you don't tell me who you think is a good fit for the national team.
Yeah, the coach decides.
The coach decides, and what I'm going to tell you is these are the rules. If it's a FIFA date and the coach asks for that player, you release him. If it's not, and you're in your playoffs, then you have an opportunity to be like, hey, I'm going to play the semifinal on Sunday, because it happened this year with Alexis Vega. He went to a friendly match on a Wednesday with Mexico and played against America on Saturday. That don't make no sense.
Yeah, that don't make no sense.
It don't make no sense.
Yeah.
Right. So there's going to be boundaries that should be put in place by this Juan Carlos folk. I think it's a freebie. I don't feel the pressure for Mexico. I think they have time because the next competition
is until next year, basically. Yeah,
next year.
I mean, who cares about the Gold Cup, honestly?
Like, I mean, after what just happened, you won a trophy. And trophy-wise, the only thing that USA has ever played for is Confederations and Copa Oro.
Yeah.
and they only have 7. Mexico has 11 and a Confederations Cup. So if you're going on based on stats, I mean, Mexico's still the daddy.
No, yeah. I mean, but I'm thinking about now, the present, right? I'm not really worried about the past, right? Like,
No, yeah, for sure. But you gotta learn. You gotta learn from your past. And
yes,
Mexico,
if not, you're doomed to repeat it.
Mexico hasn't. USA, I thought they did, but with this rehire, I don't even call it a rehire because they didn't fire him. His contract was just over.
Yeah, it just ended. Recontracted
him,
I guess.
Right. I think USA has a lot of clauses on Berhalter.
Do you think or do you know?
I think there's clauses where like, hey, if you don't break 500 in your first 10 games, whether it be official or friendly, I don't think we're gonna keep you. Or you're good until Copa America. If you don't deliver there, then you're done. And it's not hard for an interim coach at that point to come in and implement, especially if it's Pep, for example, or Klopp, who has a style of play, and with those players in Europe, come on. By the time the World Cup comes around, they're in their prime.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think by the time the next World Cup comes around, that is the golden age for USA soccer, right? Like for the players that are in there right now, that's when they'll be at their peak level, especially like Christian Pulisic, Tim Way, Tyler Adams, McKinney. They are going to be at their peak level, right? Like they're going to have experience. They're going to be in their best shape of their life, and that's when they have to perform.
Yeah. And speaking of U.S. soccer, we thought the Ronaldo-Messi debate was over, and it seems like it has just heated up. And to tie it into U.S. soccer, how do you feel about Messi coming in? How does that influence the league? Moves it forward?
Like, does it influence? Well, I guess first thing, let me ask you this. Do you think the whole Ronaldo going to the Saudi Arabia League has influenced a lot of players to go? Because now there's a bunch of players going, right?
Yeah.
Kante's going. Ziyech might go.
Kante's official.
Yeah, Kante's official.
Kante's official.
Benzema's official.
Neves from Wolves
is going. So like, is it
Bernardo Silva's now going?
No,
tentative.
I don't think he'll go.
I think he will because Gundogan is going to Barca.
But I heard he might also go to Paris Saint-Germain. So who knows?
Oh, yeah.
But let's just say, do you think Ronaldo had an influence in it, or do you think the money is just too good for these players to be like?
I think Ronaldo had a huge influence on it.
But I mean, my thing is like 5 or 6 players isn't gonna really make a big difference in the league, bro.
It's not, but it's all eyes on you now. Now, what's the conversation now? Is Saudi really that better than the MLS? Why don't those players come here?
Because they don't get paid. They
don't get the money, right?
Yeah, they don't get paid
right?
that.
The Saudi's not going to be better than the MLS.
I don't know that, to be honest.
Look at the stats. Look at the standings. There's
FIFA standings, I guess. Is that what you're talking about?
Like in their league.
How many teams are in the Saudi league?
Mendy signed for.
Al
Ahly.
Yeah, the goalie, Eduardo Mendy. Yeah,
I signed for that team.
Did you really?
I did.
For real?
I swear to God.
Oh, but that's when the war broke out?
The war broke out, and I never went. But I signed for that team. I have my contract at home.
For real?
Yeah. $100,000 a year.
You should have went.
I was trying to. I fucking signed a contract. But every time I see Al Ahly pop up, like I tell my brothers, and I'm like with the Mendy, I was like, bruh, I could have been playing with Mendy. And they're like, you didn't want to leave there ever? Like, fool, you would have been 31.
I know
like,
you're still playing in the
Saudi playing in the Saudi League? Like, yeah, making money. But I'm going to tell you the Saudi League right now.
I don't know how many teams are on there.
There's a lot of teams. It's like the Premier.
I'll tell you this, though. I think, what do you think they're going to be like the Chinese Super League? You know, like, remember there was a point where, like, a lot of players were going to the Chinese League. And Oscar is one of the biggest players that I remember that. He was like, he got a fat contract.
There's a bunch of players that went there.
No, I know. But he was
Bata went there. Oscar got the huge deal.
Yeah, he got the huge
But
deal.
I understand. He came out and he said it.
He was like, "This is so much money, I can't say no."
He said, "I've been poor my whole life. How can I not accept this money and bring my whole family out of poverty?" That's respectable.
Yeah.
But when you have the money that Ronaldo has, and you come out in interviews and say, "I think that Saudi Arabia is going to be one of the best leagues in the next 5 years," that's a lie.
That's a lie.
That's a lie.
I'll tell you this. Ronaldo though had he was going through a lot of things in his personal life as well, and I also think Ronaldo's a lot older too though than Messi, right?
Yes,
he's
2 years older, but
36 or 34 is a big difference, bro.
No, 36 to 38. Ronaldo's 38.
Yeah, okay, 38 to 36 is a big difference, bro. You know what I mean?
Okay,
closer to 40.
You're gonna tell me that players like Ronaldo, Zlatan, Messi, thinking about free agents now, James, Hazard,
Isco,
they can't play better at the age of 36, 38, 40 than some of these players in the MLS to come to the MLS,
easily,
right? Why boost a country and their league for financial? You know they got the money because they don't have the infrastructure. Why don't you just become an ambassador for a league growing?
Because I'll tell you this, bro.
You're not gonna tell me that the U.S. hasn't been growing.
It has, but we had this conversation personally as well. I would take the money, bro. Who not gonna take the money? Who not gonna take the money? Me and you've been poor all our lives, bro.
Nah, I ain't been poor. I got my wife. I got my son.
No, I'm not talking about.
No,
you know what I mean? Like you're rich.
Somebody in the comments gonna be like, "He drink too much beer." Talking about family now.
You're rich in life, bro.
No,
I'm rich in life too. But I'm talking about financially, bro.
No, yeah.
Remember I told you this? We were talking about it, and I was like, if somebody offered me $500,000 for a remote job, bro, or a job in like Montana, right? I'm gonna go because that's gonna be life-changing money for me.
I didn't think about this until right now. Their job's not remote.
No, it's not remote.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
No.
I've told you plenty of times. Move to Texas.
Yes.
Why would you want to move to Texas?
But I won't get paid that much. But
even if it's... Because if you think about Ronaldo's contracts compared to what he just got paid, he's already been paid that and over.
No, but the way you gotta think about it is like, all right, say you make $100 right now, right? Let's just for shits and giggles, right? Say you make $100, but somebody tells you, I will pay you $10,000 to do the same job in the middle of but fucking nowhere, right?
But what? Yeah,
you're gonna go. I would go, bro, because I'd be like,
if we're talking about soccer, and we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
San Jose Earthquakes comes and says, pay you $100,000 a year. Not $1 million. $100,000. You good with that?
Yes, I would be good with that.
Right? You're playing soccer.
I'm happy.
You're happy.
But if the Saudi League comes and tells me I'll pay $10 million, I'm going, bro, because I can afford to go play over there, come back home, and afford everything I want. Where even if I play for San Jose and I'm happy doing what I would love, I won't afford what I want.
We think we're mentally that strong.
Yeah, I don't know if I would survive.
Right?
Mentally, I don't know if I would survive out there.
Asking you personally, how many times have you moved away from home?
Once, and it wasn't even for that long.
Why?
Because, one, I couldn't afford it.
Okay.
But two, yes, I missed home. I missed home, yeah.
That's my thing. I've already left. Did I come back? Yes. But I knew I always knew that that's not where I wanted to be. I was always comfortable being away. So that's another question you have to ask someone. Are you comfortable sacrificing?
It's not easy to just get up and go.
It's easy for a soccer player to be like, yeah, for sure. I'll go to Saudi. But according to Ronaldo in his interviews, we all know he don't drink, he don't do drugs, he takes care of his body.
Yeah.
But if you're asking
James probably likes the party.
If you're asking
Carlos
from Man City, who's been drunk since
Jack Grealish?
Jack Grealish. I'm gonna pay you $1 billion.
But there's no pints.
No pints. No clubs. You gotta pray on Sundays. You gotta stay home on Saturdays.
He's probably not going. He probably not. But
it's different.
I'm pretty sure he gets paid very well at Man City, though.
I want to believe because what Ronaldo went through, he's going with a good place of heart.
Yeah.
And he needed a break. Because as far as I know, his family doesn't live in Saudi.
But I'll tell you this too, though.
I don't even think he trains with the team.
Unfortunately, I don't think that. I think Ronaldo is at the end of his career too. You know what I mean? Like Ronaldo's like 38 years old, bro. He's not getting any younger, and I think he should get paid while he can.
I'm a brother Mike. I'm not hating on Ronaldo. I just know he can do better than Saudi.
He could. No, he could.
He can ball.
He could
better than a lot of players in a lot of different leagues.
He could. He could have
done it. He could have
but
done
nobody's
it at
gonna
United.
pay him that amount. Though.
Okay,
he could have went back to Sporting Lisbon, but they wouldn't pay him anywhere near that amount. Of money.
It always comes down. Yeah, but a player of that caliber is always right. Imagine how much money you're not, bro. Now moving on to Messi, because of this, how much is Inter Miami? The cheapest ticket to go watch Messi is $800.
Is it really?
Shout out to my uncle who's probably at the gym watching this, doing his workout. He's lost like 60 pounds. He's mad at me right now. I sent you the screenshot.
Why?
Remember the screenshot? He was like, I don't got nothing to listen to.
At the podcast.
Anyways, he has season tickets for LAFC.
Uh-huh.
He just paid those off, selling his 2 tickets for the Miami game.
What? But you're not gonna get to watch Messi though. That's the important
He don't care because
part.
I already watched him for him.
Okay.
No.
Copa America's coming next year. You can
Exactly.
afford a ticket there, and it won't be that expensive.
Nah, not that expensive. But that's what I'm saying. The team makes up for it in revenue, and then you add jersey sales. Then you add Apple is giving him shares. Adidas is giving him shares.
But he's not getting what he would have got in Saudi Arabia, bro.
Bro, if he turned down 1.7 million.
Listen though, you'd be a fool to say no. It's like you know what I can compare it to? Have you ever heard that meme? I know a lot of people have heard this meme. Would you rather take $1 million or dinner with Jay-Z? Give me the fucking $1 million. Who gives a fuck about dinner with Jay-Z?
No, but that's not the meme. That's not always a meme.
What is it?
The meme is like, would you sleep with like some girl or a dinner with Jay-Z? No, sleep with a girl and $1 million or a dinner with Jay-Z.
The $1 million,
right?
Who the fuck fuck Jay-Z?
I mean, if you're gonna say the meme, say it right. I mean, our wives are the audience right now, but you ain't gotta.
But you see what I'm saying though, like you gotta take the money while you can, bro. And you know this life isn't forever.
It makes sense because we talked about this. If we were to play the lottery, I don't care if I win the whole lottery.
I just want a portion.
Like, just give me 4 numbers that are right.
I take the milli
and take the milli. We'd be good.
Yeah.
So I understand what you're saying. I'm not criticizing Ronaldo for going to Saudi for the money. I'm just saying that he could have stayed elsewhere and done better because we both know that the situation in Manchester United happened because of his personal life.
Yeah.
And if you I don't want to say for him, but it's already on Netflix. So he had a miscarriage. Not even a miscarriage.
His wife.
His wife gave birth to twins,
but one
passed away.
Yeah.
So the reason why he wasn't there for preseason and the summer tour,
and then Man U did him shady after
exactly,
that. Yes,
exactly.
So he was going through a lot of things.
Yeah.
And then the coach comes out and talks down on him for not being there and whatnot, and you're like, come on, bro, like
you don't do that.
You don't do that. He's going through a lot mentally, probably.
And honestly, you don't disrespect somebody like Ronaldo.
And that's another thing. Kind of like the coach in the Euros. Was it the Euros or the World Cup where he doesn't play him, he doesn't start him, and you're like, bro, that's.
But you have the same conversation that you're having with Reina. He's coming into the World Cup not playing.
I get that, but
it's Ronaldo.
But it's Ronaldo.
Okay, but then you go back and then that play where the Benfica forward
scores 3 goals.
Scored 3 goals. I think he scored 4.
But I tell you what though, he a fluke, bro.
Yeah, because he ain't done shit after. He ain't done shit after. You're right.
And I know all these leagues are like, oh, he's on the radar.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, he can come to the Premier League and won't score no more than 15 fucking goals the whole season, bro. He's not as good as people think he is, bro. Come on now. Come on.
So I'm gonna ask you guys a question. Leave it down in the comment. I want him to answer it right now. Messi influence in the MLS and U.S. soccer. Do you think things change in MLS as far as DPs, how much money you can pay a player, or if there's even boundaries anymore?
I think yes. I think
Okay,
that's what it opens up the door. Is they're like, all right, because Inter Miami gets the hottest player available, right? Like,
which every team is playing for. Every team is paying for him.
yeah, which is kind of crazy, right? That's like the weirdest thing ever. But then all these other teams are gonna be like, why does Inter Miami gets Messi, right? Like, and let's just for shits and giggles, right? Let's just say Messi comes and he kills it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they win the league the first year, right? All these other teams are gonna be like, why do they get a Messi and I can't afford to get nothing, right? Like, I have the money. Why can't I just go out and buy these great players, right? And I think it does open up the doors, right? Like, hopefully Messi comes and he scores a bunch of goals and he makes people like want to come to the game.
I was reading this record breaking season for Messi.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying that there's enough games left between when he starts on July 21st to the end of the season for him to score the most free kicks in the season for the MLS, the most consecutive hat tricks away.
Yeah, but it's gonna be hard though. But
I mean, but that tells you how much they think of Messi.
Yeah, but you know why though? This is the problem that comes with Messi, and me and my dad kind of talk about this all the time. Is like, Messi is great because he plays with great
players.
Yeah, and he's gonna come and he's gonna play with all these mediocre ass players.
He got Busquets.
All right, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
it's
not gonna like
it's not the same.
They're not gonna dime him when he needs to be dimed, right?
Yeah,
and they're not gonna like. I guarantee you, like when the through ball needs to go through, right? The player who has the ball is gonna turn around and pass the ball back, right? You see, that's the type of players he's gonna have to deal with, and he's gonna be so frustrated, right?
But that's on an individual level and Inter Miami level.
Yeah,
I'm speaking about the league.
Oh yeah.
How does the league change because of Lionel Messi?
I just think that it opens up the doors for more teams to get better
players.
Right. That's all.
More leeway.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna attract a lot of people to watch the games because I'm one person who's like, well, if Messi's playing, I kind of want to watch Messi, right? Like, I don't
for $800.
No, but
I watched him for 20
luckily
euros.
We have T-Mobile, so I get to watch the games for
Apple.
free.
You never know; they might just cancel that for us and be
well,
like,
Messi's here, so now you had to pay a little bit, and at that point, I'm gonna have to be like,
or they might just block out that game and make you pay for it.
I would not, though. I wouldn't, bro. Like,
if it was $5,
no, I wouldn't. Because think about it, bro. Like, Messi's gonna touch the ball a couple times, but I guarantee you, he's not gonna do what like you imagine.
Bro, we've talked about this. Defensively, MLS teams are not structured.
They're not.
Look at what he just did against Australia.
Yeah, I saw that. But no. It's hard to describe, bro. Like, I don't doubt that he's gonna have moments of magic, but it's not gonna be like the Messi where you're like, because there's points where like you watch Messi, but it's the whole team involved as well, right? And you're like, wow, that team looks amazing, right? And that's what you're gonna see amazing moments from Messi, but then he gonna pass the ball to somebody on Inter Miami, and you're gonna be like, damn, that boy sucks. Like, he's just terrible.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have Yedlin playing on Inter Miami.
I like Yedlin.
I don't like him personally.
Why?
I never told you about the story when I worked at Nike.
No, and you came in or what?
So he at that point was sponsored by Adidas, and he was hanging out with the Asian kid from Revolution right now. Forward. They're best friends.
I forget his name, bro, and I know exactly who he is. He was a forward, right, for the U.S. team.
Forward for the U.S. team for a long time.
Oh.
And actually, they were here to play at Levi's when Levi's got. Anyways, I was like, "Hey, what's up? You guys want to come into the store?" And he was like, "Nah, bruh, I don't go into that store." And I was like, "Yeah, but your friend does." And he walked away, and I was like, F that guy. But see, that's where the personally comes from. Personally, I don't like it. But as a player, he's a very good fullback and winger, if I may say so myself. He played very well when he started at Seattle Sounders. He played very well at Europe. And he's just a player with grit. Like a player you need on Mexico right now.
Like somebody que le echa ganas.
You know who I can compare him to as a Mexican?
Mhm.
Yedlin Pablo Aguilar.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know that golazo he scored on USA to get into Confederations? But that's what Messi, right? Okay, there's some quotes that came out this week to relate it with Messi. Gareth Bale just said that. Gareth Bale just said that it's easy to play in the MLS because they don't take losses serious. They just kind of go about their day.
He said when you lose at Real Madrid, it's like the world comes to an end. Thank goodness, bro. That's why I love Madrid.
And everyone went crazy about these
his quote
words. Carlos Vela said something similar during the week. I don't know if you noticed, but after León,
they just been on a terrible streak. Yeah,
losing streak.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
6-7 games losing.
Yeah.
And they asked.
I've been told you that team wasn't good though. I've been told you that.
No, I know. I understand that. But listen to what Carlos Vela said. If we're that bad and we're in fourth place, that tells you how worse the other teams are.
Yeah. And
you why are you saying that Gareth Bale is the worst person ever because only played 13 games in the MLS? Like, no, it doesn't take a lot to figure out a locker room.
Yeah.
Even if you only lost one game in 13 games, just how you're and you know, like, even when we win, I'm pissed off.
Yeah.
Like, bro, you could have given a better pass.
Yeah.
You could have done this. You could, like, that's me when I'm mad. And we win. And you see me when we get whooped.
When we get whooped, huh?
So Gareth,
you don't want to be on that team.
You don't want to be on my team.
I'm gonna cuss you out.
Gareth, yeah, I'll tell you to get off. We'll play better without you. But that, like, you hear these quotes. You hear these quotes.
He has a point though, and that goes back to the same thing about what we were talking about the Mexican League, where it's like there's no real repercussion.
You're not losing.
For losing.
You have everything to win,
but nothing
and nothing to lose.
Other than we're in last place.
I know you guys have seen this meme. It's a Little League game, and the coach is talking to the team. Little Leaguers, they're probably like 7 years old, and the Little League coach tells the players, if your dad tells you that losing is okay and that you deserve a second place trophy, your dad's a pussy. Literally says it like that. I hope I can clip it and then put it right here. If your dad is as pissed as you are, you're a winner. You're a champion. And it comes back to mentality. If you're big on complacency, being comfortable,
good for you.
Good for you, but
you're a pussy.
But you're a pussy, right?
Yeah.
Now that I'm a U.S. national team supporter,
I want the glory.
I want the glory.
I want everything.
And it goes back to Federation, MLS, USL, MLS Next, national team. Because if we don't have those structures here, we don't have a good national team.
Yeah.
And I think the U.S. is going to be a lot better going into the 2026 World Cup.
But that's